This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com. Hello everybody, welcome to another War and Pieces. Today we are going to be looking at, well, you would think we'd be looking at a war game, but no, today we're looking at a political struggle that had a lot to do with the end of World War I, and that is Versailles 1919. Over 100 years ago, the nations came together after World War I and tried to come up with a peace negotiation that was going to really settle the world down after the very first World War, which was cataclysmic in a lot of ways. This game is just a very interesting telling of the political struggle of it. And it's made by Mark Herman and Geoff Engelstein, two very well-known and phenomenal designers. And what they've come up with, well, let's go down to the table and we're going to talk a little bit about it. Now, I'm not going to explain all the rules here, and I'm just going to kind of give you a brief overview of how everything works here. Really a fascinating and beautiful game. This board is huge, and it represents the meeting in Versailles. What you're going to have here is you're going to have issues, okay? You're going to have issues in the waiting room. If you're playing solo, there's always only going to be two issues here, but there's always three issues on the in the waiting room. As these issues get discussed and resolved between the four nations, okay, they're going to be claimed. Okay, and they're going to come off the table and everything's going to move, as well as some of these events that are going to happen that are going to reshape things and really push things to a limit. You're going to be trying to attribute as many victory points as you possibly can, but there's going to be some factors here. There's going to be a happiness track too that's going to it's going to go up and down, and it's going to cause different things to happen. You have a 2-player, 3-player, 4-player. There are 4 nations involved here, and one that is not really involved but in the happiness table, and that is Japan. So you have Italy, you have Great Britain, you have USA, as well as France. Now, the real heart of this game is how you are trying to shape the vision of the world, for your vision of the world for your country, and how you can manipulate these certain things. Now, the game is going to start with a couple of turn options. You're going to have a political action and a military action. First turn of military action is really not going to be advantageous or work. You're going to have 15 influence cubes, and let's just say Italy was going first, and you have to pick you have to place influence on 2 issues, okay? And you have to be winning those 2 issues. So right now at the beginning of the game, there's no influence anywhere. So it's pretty easy for Italy to go, well, I'm really interested in that, and I'm really interested in that. The next country would go and place their influence. Well, they have to beat that. Well, I really want this Korea influence, issue, and I really want to make sure I get that settled. And I also, well, I really want this Vietnam. So America has placed, and kind of either the way they look at it is either, okay, I'm not interested in these 2, but I'm going to find out who is by placing this type of influence out there and seeing who's going to beat me and maybe get the real issue that I want. So France would go next, and they go, oh, no. I have to have this Korea. And they would have to place 3. Now they're leading that one. They're saying, oh, no. I want Vietnam as well. I'm not going to let America take that, okay? I'm not going to let them settle that issue, okay? Then finally Great Britain would go, and maybe they just go, well, I'm interested in these 2 for now. I'm going to try to stay out of this and see how this all plays out. Then what's going to happen is is that somebody will decide to settle an issue. Now, depending if they're deciding to settle this issue particularly here, okay, who's winning it? France. So they're going to get that. That influence is going to go into an exhausted area, okay? They're going to have to spend a turn to try to get that back. But the United States gets their influence back, okay? So they really didn't spend any influence, okay? They're going to get that back because maybe what they really wanted was this. In the meantime, this is going to go to France, as we said. And then also what's going to happen is when that happens, we are going to settle an issue. When an issue is being settled, okay, you're going to award the issue, remove the influence, as I said, and then you're going to go to a conference event. That's the bottom of this card right here, okay? At the bottom of these cards, you're going to see that you have an option to exhaust 3 influence to increase happiness by 2. Now, like I said, happiness plays a very big part in this because this is going to help with victory points towards the end of the game. Depending on how much happiness is and how much is not there, it becomes a whole thing. Then you're going to advanced issues and events. So, for instance, the active player is going to get a chance to advance this here. Now this issue is on the table, okay? And then also they're going to advance an event. Why? Because this is where the conference part comes in. So we'll move that there. Then they're going to refresh and pop that in there. All right. And what that's going to do is the minute this card comes out, you're going to resolve the top part of this, okay, of this event. And this one here is add Unrest to 2 random regions. Now, you have all these regions here, okay, and there's all kinds of unrest. These events take place and are coming off, and word gets to these regions. There's either there's a unrest or people are happy with them. You're going to move your unrest depending on who has that. You're going to assign military, okay, which is going to stop the unrest, okay. And of course, depending on where all these tokens and the powdered keg tokens are, what's going to happen is these powder kegs, as they go, they actually block from moving this backwards. And then you're going to try to attribute these victory points here for each region. And that's another thing that is settled by some of the events that are on these cards. And depending on where things are and how things rolled out, it'll determine where you're going to apply these regional things as far as happiness and industry and a whole bunch of other things that are going to attribute and give you victory points. You'll be able to use them depending on where and how and what and why. Determining regions, most unrest. Okay, you're going to roll for this uprising. You're going to determine player. You're going to bid for control. Region unrest. You're going to be, increasing and increasing the powder keg as well as the unrest itself. And then, of course, seeing how you're going to cause or decrease unrest so you can get your issues to shape the world the way you wanted it. Eventually, as you go, you're going to come to the game end card, and once that is placed and then settled, okay, the game will end. You'll add up the victory points. You have these gorgeous scoring pads, which I'm just going to laminate, okay, and it gives you all the conditions of how you're going to add up the points. It's beautifully illustrated. The rules of play are only about 17 pages, which are really fantastic because they're easy to comprehend. It looks like there's a lot here, but there isn't. The real home run here is in this playbook, Okay, because what they do is they take a 4-player game and they go through turn by turn by turn and explain it to you so you understand how each part of this mechanism works. And it makes sense very quickly. They explain an entire game and each round and how it plays out. And then it shows you how to play the game solo, also walking through setup as well as turns, and it just does a fantastic job. Also, there is a solo player aid which will explain everything and how you can use the bots. You could play up to 4 players, but as you drop down, you'll drop down certain nations. If you're playing a 3-player, Italy is not involved. And I think if you're only playing a 2-player, it is the United States and Great Britain, if I'm not sure, or France and Great Britain. But really, really phenomenal experience. Let's go up top, and what I'll do is I'll give you my thoughts on this. You know, Mark Herman, Geoff Engelstein are two of the probably more well-known and very, very brilliant designers out there today. And what you have here, okay, in the Great Statesman series is a phenomenal experience. There's a few things that go on here. Now the first time I played it, I kind of fumbled through it a little bit. The second time I played, it really clicked. And I did it too a couple different ways. I tried the solo variant, which is very, very good, and I think that really sells this game is the solo component and how everything just really makes sense. As you play the bot, you go, well, it makes sense to do this. It makes sense to do that. Where the real intrigue comes is, in anywhere from 2 to 4 players. And I played that by myself because I found myself, and I tried to look at it from each nation. And the thing that I really, really think where this is just a phenomenal experience for you is that this game does a couple things. You're going to have issues, and it represents this historic event. Okay? It's not a war game. It is a political struggle. And the beauty of it is can you force a country to be on the back of its heels so you could get your agenda done? Okay? Placing your influence, making it look like maybe that's what I really want. I really want that particular issue. Okay? Because that's going to help me in this, that, and the other. And you sell it that way. And then they go, well, I don't want him to have that. He has something in mind. And they use their influence there for something they may not want, but you really want one of the issues that are already in the waiting room. And you kind of go, okay, now their influence is stretched out. And the beauty part about it is as they're claiming issues, they have to put that in an exhausted pool. And you are going to be able to have enough influence and say, okay, I really want this one, and I'm going to put 6 on here and 4 on this one. And they're going to go, well, I don't have the influence to block that. And then you're going to settle that issue and get that and get exactly what you want and how you envision the world. This is a brilliant design by 2 brilliant people, and of course put out by a brilliant company on top of it. They have not put out a bad game ever that I can remember, and nor will I remember. Phenomenal. And I suggest you get this, and you will not be disappointed. This is easy to learn, impossible to master, but yet another masterpiece from one of the biggest companies out there, and that's GMT Games. And I tip my hat for putting this out. This is just absolutely fantastic, and the quality is second to none. Another great job by our friends over at GMT. And Mark Herman, Geoff Engelstein, phenomenal job. I suggest this highly. I think you will be intrigued by it. It is a great solo experience, and even better with a group of friends. And a normal game will go about 90 minutes. I think you can play with a bunch of people and really have a fantastic game night with this phenomenal game, as well as a phenomenal solo experience. So that's it from your old pal Rob for War and Pieces this time. Until next time, we'll see you soon.